Yes. So Ferrari has announced that they are going to be the engine supplier for the Cadillac Formula One team in 2026. Now, the interesting thing about that announcement is that Cadillac has not been approved by the FIA to compete in Formula One in 2026 yet. Not yet.
What does that
They're
mean?
Still in the process.
They bought the team. Like, what does that mean?
You have to go through. It's a very arduous process to go through approval from the FIA to make sure you have the facilities to produce such a car that can do a whole bunch of other stuff, and it gets very political, as you can imagine.
Can I ask a lot of questions? My
Sure.
assumption, okay, I see that I don't know anything about Formula One. I see the car, okay, on the track. They call it a track.
Very simple.
Well, some are tracks, some are street circuits, but we'll move on.
The car says Aston Martin. My assumption is that Aston Martin makes the body, the engine, the steering wheel.
Not always. So there are a number of manufacturers, Ferrari, Mercedes-Benz, that come to mind immediately that supply engines to other teams. So you can buy an engine and a gearbox, which is what Ferrari says they're going to supply, from another manufacturer and put it in your own car.
Is it not antithetical to the whole like Cadillac is going to compete, like carrying the torch for America in Formula One,
they're gonna have
except the entire powertrain. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want Cadillac to have a Cadillac. I want a Blackwing V8, and I don't know what the rules are.
Well, that won't happen, but as much as I wish that would happen, that will not.
Like, I don't understand. Why
So
Cadillac wants to be in F1 so badly that they are going to have the engine built by another manufacturer?
I mean, Red Bull has used a number of engines.
Red Bull doesn't make
Honda,
cars.
they then bought Honda's engines and build them in-house. I mean, this has happened with a lot of manufacturers.
I know, but it's annoying to me. I wanted Cadillac to be ground up. I wanted Mario Andretti in there wrenching on the engines himself. I wanted Bob Lutz or his ghost, I'm not sure, to be building engines in Detroit.
The reality of that is that it is incredibly expensive. And GM has come out and said they will make a Formula One engine. They will get there. But to get off the ground and get things moving, Ferrari has agreed to be
Why not just wait to launch so you've done it?
You know what this is?
Because if they want to get it in the sport, now is the time to capitalize. It's very popular in America to be in Formula One. This is a real American manufacturer. We had Haas F1, which ties to Gene Haas, who does a lot of racing in America. But this is GM.
Do you think that GM and Mary Barra is worried that Cadillac will have closed as a brand by the time they actually start developing their own engine?
Cadillac's real, dude. Cadillac's real. They got the XT6
and the Vistic.
It's Vistique, I think. Okay, so they're going to go racing. Cadillac. When is this going to happen? 26.
They're saying 2026. Yeah, and Ferrari's made it very clear that it is contingent on Cadillac being approved to be in the sport. But yeah, 2026 is when we should see that on the grid.
This is the Honda prologue of Formula One.
It is.
They know they're going to do better things later, but they're just getting started.
Hey man, you got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. And if the car looks like that, I'm super into it. Who's going to sponsor this thing? Can I?
If you have enough money to do it, I suppose you could.
Cost to like have like a decal on like right there.
You know
what I mean?
Well, in highly visible spots on television, a ton, but there are spots on a Formula One car that are a lot less expensive than you might think.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
what can I get for $8,000?
Something
really small. It would be great to have like a tiny noodle.
I have decided that if not a Formula One fan, never been a Formula One fan, I have decided that I am going to cheer on Cadillac in Formula One. I'm going to cheer on the American brand.
If I got you to watch Formula One for even one season, I would be so happy.
Well, now it's relevant to me. You know, before it was a bunch of Europeans out there doing stuff. I don't know what's going on.
2026 is a big deal next year because there's a huge regulation change that comes that year. So it will shake up the grid, and we'll see what's going to go.
You know what they should do for regulations? Have no regulations. That's the race series that I would
fan car.
The problem is then they have self-adjusting suspension, and the car kind of drives it. If there were no regulations, they probably would. If manufacturers want to get rid of drivers altogether and let the cars drive themselves.
Well, that seems not fun.
I would watch
precisely that they tried this like recently with like AI driven. It was a disaster. I don't even think the cars completed a lap. I don't remember exactly what circuit it was at, but they attempted this, and it was
it's
funny
as AI.
I mean, they could do it.
I know
no it's a single track, but like, what's the fun in that?
Exactly. It's a sport.
Will have this figured out within a couple of days.
I've said many times, like you root for the driver and the team. Like that's what you want to see win.
At that point, just
see
like a track in the ground and just have it follow that. Like
or have the whole thing be virtual. Have the whole thing be virtual.
Why even run
the race?
Well, they do that. They do, and that is the most boring thing in the world to watch. But yeah,
like
they
computer game racing.
Yeah, they do esports not for Formula One, but
on at any time.
Let's go.
Game racing.
In theory, we will have a.
It was so great. Brief story. So Max Verstappen was taking part. They did like a version of that for Le Mans for 24 hours. You were going to drive digitally in Formula 1, and Max Verstappen, who just sits and does this all day. He just loves simulators. took part in it, and they had so many like glitches where and when the system would glitch, it would send you back to the pits. So he'd be like around a lap, and then all of a sudden be in the pits, and he's like, "Guys." And eventually, he got so fed up with it, he was like, "I'm done. That's enough. I've had enough of it." And he was like 10 hours into it. He was like, "I'm finished. This is ridiculous, and I'm done." The wild stuff.